Hello, boys and girls, and children of all ages. I'm back. I'm back with the Pieta story time for children of all ages. So today I'm going to read a really good book to you. It's called I Will Always Be Your Mommy. Do you know who Jesus's mommy was or is? She still is. It's Mary. Saint Mary is the mother of Jesus, and she is the mother of all of us because Christ is our Lord and we share with him and he shares his mother with him. So even if you're grown up and your mommy went to heaven and she's no longer here, you have Mary, Mary, the Blessed Mother. And if you have your mommy on earth living with you, now you got two mommies. You got a mommy to take care of both you and your mommy. I love the Blessed Mother, and there's so many beautiful prayers to her, so many in the Bible. But today I'm going to read this book called I Will Always Be Your Mommy. You're going to really like this story. So let me start with you today, okay? And it's a book written by Adori Stempston, and it's illustrated by Anna Duda, and she did a great thing. So all these chickens have names. You see them right here. Well, we got Paisley and Blue and Pearl and Susan and Smarty. But here's a chicken that doesn't have a name. Where is she? She's right here. If you were going to name a chicken, what would you name a chicken? Okay, so this is Susan right here. I want you to look at her. In the brown, see? That brown little chicken here. Let me hold my book better. It's hard to hold these books sometimes. So this is Susan. She's a little chicken. Look at the size of the other chickens. That's Susan. She was a tiny chicken. She's called a bantam hen, and she's much smaller than the other hens on the farm. But you know what? She has a big heart, and she always wanted to raise a baby chick of her own. And there they are. They're all in their hen house. One sunny afternoon, while all the other hens were busy pecking at the ground for food, Susan went wandering around the farm to find a good spot to take a nap. And here you see Susan walking around, and then there you see all the other chickens pecking around the ground and together. And Susan went off by herself. And as she wandered, Susan saw a big nest with a single egg in it. Oh no, she clucked. This poor egg. It's all alone and it's getting cold. I'll protect it. And then she gently sat down on the egg to keep it warm. And she fell and she fell asleep. There's that egg all by itself. And there's Susan worried about it. And there she is thinking about sitting on top of it. And you know what? There she goes. She's sitting on that egg to protect it. And why? Because there's a baby inside that egg. Suddenly, Susan felt a tiny nudge under her feathers. And she heard some peeping. Beep, beep. She stood up just in time to see the egg hatching. There she is. Can you see the cracks in the egg? What does that mean? Let's see. Out popped a tiny, colorful chick. He looked up at Susan and chirped, Mommy. Susan's heart just swelled up with love. You're so cute and small, Susan said. Pee-wee, and I will always be your mommy. And that's the little birdie saying, Mommy. From that day on, Susan and Pee-wee were inseparable. That means they were always together. Susan showed Pee-wee how to scratch the ground for food and how to live the lifestyle of a chicken. There's all the other chickens, and then there's Mommy Susan with little Pee Wee. Can you see that? As the sun began to set, Susan led Pee Wee back to the chicken coop. Pee Wee, Susan said, let's go inside for bedtime. Come along. And now there they are, and they're walking to the hen house. You see it? It's way it's way up here. And the chickens go in at night to roost, to sleep, and to rest and to stay protected. Her regular spot in the coop, and Pee Wee followed. He snuggled himself close under Susan's warm wing and said, good night, Mommy. And she said, good night, my baby. Susan smiled with pride. The other hens looked over at that colorful chick and whispered to one another about the newest addition to their coop. That's a strange looking chick. I don't think that's a chicken. I guess we'll see as it grows. And there they are, all talking about Susan and her beautiful, strange, colorful little chick. As the days passed, Pee Wee followed his mom everywhere she went and copied everything she did. He was growing up so fast. Susan noticed that Pee Wee was getting some tiny feathers sprouting on top of his head, and that he was almost the same size as her. And even though he looked different, she loved her baby. And she whispered, I will always be your mommy. There's Pee Wee. Can you see he's getting little feathers on his head? But that doesn't matter to his mommy. She loves him. There's all the other chickens by by the hen house. One night, Pee Wee and Susan were getting ready for bed. Pee Wee said, Mommy, I'm cold. And even though Pee Wee was the same size as her, she stretched her wing out as far as she could, and she wrapped it over Pee Wee so that he could cuddle and be close to her. There's the night coming out, the moon, and there's Susan wrapping up little Pee Wee with her wing. Well, not so little anymore. Can you see how big he is? How big he's grown? Almost the same size as his mommy. That night they were sleeping, and Pee Wee heard a strange chatter sound. He opened his eyes to see a giant furry creature wearing a mask, and the creature slowly reached towards Pee Wee. And right before it could grab him, Susan squawked and pecked at it until it ran away. It's okay, my baby, Susan said. That monster's gone. I will always protect you. There's the monster with the mask. You know what that is? And there's Susan, Mommy Susan, flying at that monster, pecking at it to protect her baby Pee Wee. Not only did she protect Pee Wee, she protected all the chickens. Weeks later, Pee Wee was now the same size as the larger chickens in the coop, and he noticed he looked more colorful than the others. Pee Wee asked his mom, why do I look different from everyone else? Susan looked up at him and said, because you are special, Pee Wee. You're a peacock, a beautiful and unique bird. No matter how different you look, I will always be your mommy. And look at Pee Wee now. He really looks different, right? The big, beautiful yard where the chickens peck the ground. One day, while Susan and Pee Wee were exploring the farm together, they saw a flash of bright colors swooping around the barn. They looked at each other with excitement and rushed to the barn. There's the barn, and there's Pee Wee and Susan. Look how much bigger he is than his mommy now. But he's so beautiful, isn't he? Yes, he's different, but he's beautiful. They turned the corner and they saw a majestic, peacock with a long train of tail feathers, shimmering green and blue. Hello, the peacock said. I haven't seen you around the farm before. My name is Cody. What is yours? Pee-wee looked at him with awe and said, I'm Pee-wee. This is my mommy. We live in the chicken coop. There's the there's Cody talking to Pee-wee and Susan. Cody looked at Susan, then looked at Pee-wee. You're a peacock, Cody said. You don't belong in a chicken coop. You should come live with us, Peacock. We live in the giant trees at the edge of the farm. Susan looked up at Pee-wee and said, If you want to live with peacocks, I'll understand. But no matter where you go, I will always be your mommy. And there's Pee-wee talking to Cody and thinking about that. And there's Susan. She's sad, but she'll let him go if he wants to be with the others that look like him. Pee-wee thought for a moment, and then he looked at Cody and said, Thank you, Cody, but I'm very happy living with my mommy and my family in the coop. Cody nodded. Well, it was very nice meeting you. Pee-wee and Susan smiled and turned around to walk back to the chicken coop. So there's Cody, and there's Mother Susan and little Pee-wee happy. She's happy that he chose to stay with his family in the chicken coop. One evening, as Pee-wee was playing with the other chickens, he noticed something strange. He squinted his eyes to see farther and realized it was the masked monster sneaking up on Susan. Oh my, there's the chickens, there's Pee-wee, and there's that masked monster. Again, going after Mommy Susan. Let's see what happens. Pee-wee quickly let out a loud honk to warn her and ran toward them. And right as the monster was about to pounce, Pee-wee swiftly jumped in between Susan and the monster and threw up his magnificent feathers. The monster quickly turned around and ran away. And there's the monster going after, but there's Pee-wee jumping in front of Susan. And look at his beautiful, magnificent feathers protecting and covering Susan, Mommy Susan. How beautiful. Pee-wee, you saved me, Susan said with tears in her eyes. Pee-wee was so happy that she was okay. He looked down at his mother and said, Even though I am grown up now, I'm still your baby, and I will protect you forever. He began to tear up with her, and he said, You will always be my mommy. All the chickens are seeing what happened and seeing that. And look, there's Pee-wee hugging Mommy Susan. Isn't that beautiful? So I want you to know, so that is the end. The end. And they did live happily together in the chicken coop. So I want you to know this story is based on a true story. There really was a Susan and a Pee-wee, and this is it. This book was written by a woman whose chicken really did find an egg, and she hatched it, and that little chick turned out to be a peacock. And you can see how big it is compared to his mommy. So that's a true story. Things like that do happen. Let me see. So the author, her name is Adori, she says that this really happened, but in her at her farm, this true story of Pee-wee the peacock that she shares with all her pets. She has a bear and a dog. She has 35 chickens, and each and every one of them have names. And she's also a foster. She helps take care of animals that need to be rescued. But isn't that a beautiful story? And let's not forget to say thank you and tell Miss Anna Duda what a good job she did drawing Pee Wee and his mom Susan. Isn't that a beautiful story? And isn't it nice to know that no matter how different you are from others, your mommy loves you. And you know who really loves you? Jesus' mommy. She loves all of us. And she has a mantle, that thing that she wears over her head, and when you're scared or something, imagine just like Susan covered Pee Wee with her feathers, Mother Mary will cover you with her mantle and protect you. So remember all of that. That Mother Mary is your mother too. She's all of our mothers. She's Jesus's mother, and she's all of our mothers because Jesus gives her to us when he went into heaven. He said, "Here is your mother." So we remember that she is our mother. She protects us, she watches over us, and she wraps her mantle around us. So that's our story for today. I'm glad you listened, and I hope you enjoyed it. You take care and have a beautiful day, and I'll see you soon. Watch for our stories on our Pieta Prayer Group channel. Bye bye.